The Arizona Cardinals shocked a few of us. Not really, when they traded down from the third overall spot. But I will say, with the Texans, that was probably the most shocking thing. Like, the Texans really won the draft. However, the Cardinals had themselves a pretty solid draft in their own right, even though, again, not everybody loved the trade from 3 back down to 12 and back up to 6. It is what it is there. At least they got a future first from the Texans out of it, which actually could end up being pretty good. But as far as the draft class goes for the Arizona Cardinals, you're pretty excited. Like, this team had a lot of holes. It's still, I mean, obviously it still needs its help, but honestly, I'm still pretty excited about what the Cardinals got. And today we're going to go over it in our draft grades for the Arizona Cardinals for their 2023 draft class. So, rolling right into it here. Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle coming up out of Ohio State that they traded down and then traded back up for. Yeah, that happened. 827 snaps last year for the Buckeyes, allowed only 2 sacks, no quarterback hits, 12 hurries, and had an 83.0 PFF overall grade. I've loved Paris Johnson Jr. I felt like he was the best tackle in the draft. You know, a lot of people are probably going out there and saying, well, you probably could have got him at 12. Really? I mean, we got to keep in consideration that, you know, the Titans were still there. They needed tackle help. The Bears needed a lot of tackle help. You know, there were a couple teams that definitely, even the Jets definitely needed offensive tackle help. So, I mean, if Paris Johnson Jr. did fall, I mean, there's no guarantee that you would have gotten him, especially 10 or 11 or 12 there. So, you know, I do get the urgency here by the Cardinals to a degree, but I'm like, you know, I don't know. Like, I felt like 8 probably was going to be the spot there. I felt like the Lions at 7 definitely weren't going to take a tackle, so don't necessarily why they chose 6, but maybe that's all they could get up at that point is what it is there. But the guy, Paris Johnson Jr., I gave it a B+, mainly for the place he was at, 8, 9, or 10, so they didn't have to, you know, move up so far. I felt like that would have been the thing here. But overall, like I said, you're pretty happy with how things ended up for the Cardinals and getting Paris Johnson Jr., and helping out the offensive line, excuse me. Then in the second round, they got BJ Ujulari out of LSU. I really like Ujulari. 58 tackles last year for LSU, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and an 83.0 PFF pass rush grade. He was considered a late first-round pick at one point, so to get him here in the second round, I love the value. I do kind of question, like, how much production are you going to get out of him? And yes, you did want some of those studs coming up on the defensive level for you. So, I mean, hey, they got a little bit of value here by trading down from the third overall pick, and they were able to get even still get a good edge rusher. So I think you're still pretty excited for him here. And then later on, they're getting Garrett Williams out of Syracuse, the corner who, in my mind, probably could have gone in the second round. Like, if he didn't tear his ACL, he probably could have been a first-round pick. So Garrett Williams here, a fantastic value. 36 tackles last year for the Orange, or something like that. A tackle for loss, excuse me. A tackle and a half. You guys get the point. A sack and a couple of picks. But he had a 72.1 PFF coverage grade. I'm really excited about Garrett Williams. You know, especially with the loss of Byron Murphy. I think he could be a one-on-one replacement. You know, obviously you got to make sure the knee's okay and all that. But I mean, I don't think it's a concern, especially if you took him in the third round. Then a little bit later on, 22 picks later, they took wide receiver Michael Wilson out of Stanford. Michael Wilson was one of those guys with Tanner McKee and that offense at Stanford just did not gel. But Michael Wilson's a stud now. Michael Wilson, I think he can run. He's big. He can catch, do all that wonderful stuff. I think he could end up being a big-time steal here for the Cardinals if everything goes according to plan. If Kyler Murray can stand in the pocket, you know, do his thing, be a scrambler, do whatever he wants to do, and get the ball to guys like Michael Wilson in the future. I'm excited about it. I give this one an A as well. I love the value. I really felt like he was a very underrated wide receiver in this draft, but again, really didn't get the time of day, mainly because of the fact that his offense of production in college wasn't great, but also his offense wasn't great. So, hey, you got to be looking at both sides of things here. Then in the fourth round, getting John Gaines II out of UCLA, played 190 through 932 snaps for the Bruins last year, had a couple of sacks as well as 2 quarterback hits and 14 hurries. Overall, a 77.8 PFF grade. You know, John Gaines, I felt like, 4th, 5th round, probably pretty good value there. I would have loved Chandler Zavala going to the Cardinals. I felt like he was probably the best left guard in this class, but overall, it is what it is. Gaines goes to the Cardinals here. They get themselves at least a backup guy that, they're at least going to be able to see what they want to do with here. In the 5th round, they picked quarterback Clayton Tune coming up out of Houston. I like Clayton Tune. Like 4,000 passing yards last year, 40 touchdowns, 10 picks. Was a guy that, quite honestly, like, you look at him in the pocket, like I think he could definitely be at least a high-end backup in the NFL, maybe something more. We'll have to see what happens overall, but I do think he's going to be a fantastic get here for the Cardinals down the line, at least a very good backup quarterback. Sorry, I'm yawning today. So, fifth round, still, they got Owen Papo, the speedy linebacker, ran like a 4.3 at the combine, out of Auburn, 91 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a couple sacks, and a pick, as well as a 69.5 PFF grade last year. This is kind of an underrated pick for me because Papo can fly. I do question how his blitzing ability in the NFL, but if he can cover and if he can fly and go make tackles in the backfield, I don't really care. I'm still excited for Owen Papo. He's going to be a lot of fun. Kei'Trel Clark out of Louisville was the next pick here in the 6th round. 771 snaps, 51 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, a pick and pick 6 and a sack. So I like Kei'Trel Clark here in the 6th round. Great value. I think he's going to be. I mean, this was such a deep corner class. You could really get just about anybody later on, and you were going to be okay with it. So Clark here. Fantastic get. I'm excited to see what he's going to do, and we'll go from there. So, at the very least, more corner depth. You love that. And then finally, the Cardinals finished it up here with picking Dante Stills, the defensive tackle out of West Virginia. That's the thing about Dante Stills. Like, he can play D tackle, D end, whatever you want over, I think it was 23 and a half career sacks there for West Virginia. I'm pretty excited about Dante Stills here, especially at this spot. I think as far as a rotational guy, he's going to do a lot of good for your ball club. But overall, I gave this whole thing a B+. I felt like, the first 4 picks, you got 4 starters, as it should be, especially if you've got a first, a second, and 2 thirds. But after that, we'll see how the rest of this class goes. I'm excited for it, but I do think that the Cardinals are in a pretty good spot here, and I thought it was a pretty good draft. But that is it. That is our grades for the Arizona Cardinals 2023 NFL Draft Class. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. Greatly appreciate all you guys' support. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. In the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. Give us that like and that follow. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover. But let us know what you guys think about our draft grades for the Arizona Cardinals 2023 draft class.